On to the United States. Trouble continues to mount for Donald Trump. In the latest, a New York judge has ordered the president to pay up $2 million. You heard that right. $2 million for misusing funds from his charity to finance his 2016 political campaign. The judge directed the payment to 8 non-profit organizations. In a statement, the judge says, and I'm quoting from it, Donald Trump breached his duty by allowing funds raised for U.S. veterans to be used for the Iowa primary election in 2016. The judge also stressed on the fact that the money must be paid by Donald Trump himself. The directors of the foundation, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump and Ivanka Trump, will also undergo mandatory training on the duties of officers and directors of charities. And not surprising at all, Donald Trump immediately took to Twitter to defend the charity. He said that the foundation was an incredibly effective philanthropy effort, and he had made some small technical violations. That's what he called it. Trump had claimed the case was politically motivated, but that argument was rejected a year ago when the judge declined the request that was made to dismiss the lawsuit. That request was rejected. Donald Trump was forced to shut down his charity, the Donald J. Trump Foundation, last year. This after prosecutors accused the organization of working as little more than a checkbook for Donald Trump's interests. This payment is the final resolution of a case brought by state prosecutors. Last month, Donald Trump's lawyers and the Attorney General's office reached agreements to dissolve the foundation and distribute about $1.7 million in remaining funds to other nonprofits. As part of those agreements made public on Thursday, Donald Trump admitted to personally misusing foundation funds. He and the Attorney General's office further agreed to leave it up to the judge to decide what penalty he should pay eventually. The civil lawsuit was filed by State Attorney General Letitia James. In June last year, she accused the Trump Foundation of persistently illegal conduct. That included improper coordination between the charity and his campaign team during his 2016 White House bid. And our correspondent Harry Horton is joining us live from Washington, D.C. Not surprising, Donald Trump continuing to defend his charity, but he cannot afford to not pay up that amount, as there would be a clear violation and a contempt of court.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been ordered to pay that $2 million. And in fact, he's as part of the statement that Donald Trump issued, which, contradicted a lot of the statements that Donald Trump's legal team made in court. He did say in that statement that he would be paying that $2 million fine. This is a pretty damning end for the Trump Foundation, which of course is now closed down now because of various legal disputes that it was involved in. This particular case, pretty damning. The lawyers for Donald Trump admitted that the foundation had used some of its money to settle personal legal disputes that Donald Trump was having involving his various business properties. Foundation money was also used to purchase a $10,000 portrait of Donald Trump that went on display at one of his properties. Of course, all this money is supposed to be going to charities, but instead, as prosecutors argued and the lawyers for Donald Trump admitted, a lot of the money was being used as a personal checkbook for Donald Trump. So in addition to this $2 million fine, there's various different requirements that Donald Trump has to meet if he wants to set up a charity again in future. And his 3 children, who were directors on the board of the charity, Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, they have agreed that they will go on various training courses in the state of New York about how charities are supposed to function properly. So, as I say, a pretty damning end for the Trump Foundation.
Yes, and that judgment could not have come at a worse time for the American president, who is already embroiled in that impeachment probe.
Yeah, that's completely right. And that impeachment probe is set to hot up over the next week as we get the first public testimonies from various senior State Department officials and former US diplomats over the course of the next week or so. We'll hear in front of the TV cameras from those witnesses as Democrats try to sell their impeachment case to the US public in the hope that if they can convince American voters that what Donald Trump has done is worthy of impeachment, then perhaps those voters might pressure Republican senators to side with them, and that might increase the chances of Donald Trump being removed from office. At the moment, it seems as though the Republican Party are sticking pretty closely to Donald Trump and staunchly defending him, but we'll have to see how things change as this dramatic impeachment inquiry reaches a very public phase over the course of the next week.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment. Harry Horton, appreciate very much for joining us with all of those details.